he was going to get along, and he was going to get along, and he was going to be practical. But already in the second half of 1945, and that's why the bomb was dropped twice on Japan to impress Mr. Stalin, uh, the U.S. was now at war for global control. The idea of shared responsibilities was already out the window in the American mentality. And this was, of course, put most vividly in NSC Memo 68 in 1950, that this was going to be the U.S. battling world communism for dominance. I say all of this, Glenn, because when the Soviet Union fell in 1991, the insanity of a country of 4% of the world population deciding it would run the world went into overdrive. And it went into overdrive, and it's been in overdrive since 1991. The U.S. has viewed itself, and by U.S. I mean the CIA, the military-industrial digital complex, the ones that make the war decisions, that have brought us nonstop into war, that allocate the trillions of dollars and so on. They believe they run the world. When China rose in power over several decades, and that was noticed by the United States sometime around 2010, this freaked out these would-be hegemonists. Now there's an enemy. Russia was dismissed as anyway a has-been, useless, so not really to worry. So we don't have to listen to anything Russia says. But the attention turned to China, and we have to defeat China the same way. That's been the U.S. foreign policy for the last 15 years. Just quickly, a couple flies in the ointment. First, all of this is delusional. That's the first starting point. The idea that the U.S. runs the world, rules the world, dominates the world, can have its way is a madness. It's been a madness for decades, but it's been a repeated madness that leads to millions of deaths all over the world, whether in Vietnam or across wars of the Middle East. Second, the misjudgment about Russia is the reason for the Ukraine war. The U.S. never expected Russia to resist NATO enlargement, never expected to be able to stand up to the United States for one moment. This is both a denigration of Russia and a profoundly delusional exaggeration of American power. Both go hand in hand. But the war in Ukraine is fundamentally the result of an American delusion, spelled out helpfully by Zbigniew Brzezinski in 1997, because he spelled out in the grand chessboard exactly what the delusion is. And he concluded Russia could not resist the eastward enlargement of NATO and Europe. So that's, and then the other fly in the ointment is Israel. Israel is a crazy rogue state with half its political leadership in the mindset of the 5th century BC. Reading some text from King Josiah, and Israel has just plunged the world into probably the Third World War, but into a phenomenal economic crisis. This is the timing, the instigation is Israel's. The fact that the U.S. goes along with it is because it's completely coherent with the U.S. hegemonic project. But this is Israel. Complete madness. And because of the hold of the Israel lobby in the United States, that madness isn't even examined. Excuse me? We have an ambassador in Israel. The U.S. has an ambassador named Mike Huckabee, who is let's just say, a minor Protestant evangelical theologian, if I could put it that way, but that's a very polite way to put it. And he said 2 weeks ago, yes, Israel owns the land from the Nile to the Euphrates. And when Tucker Carlson asked him, excuse me, they own the land, could they take it? He said, sure. Yeah, sure, they could take it. This is, again, what's sometimes called by psychologists or psychiatrists a folie à deux. This is a craziness of Israel matched by a craziness of the United States. Israel wants to be the hegemon from the Nile to the Euphrates or beyond. The United States wants to be the hegemon of the world. That's a long-standing project. And here we are in the early shooting of World War III, unless somehow somebody stands up and stops the madness. The ones that are most likely to do it in the end are China and Russia, because they are mature, aware, and not really so happy about this U.S. hegemonic project. If India would recognize its own interests clearly, it would also play a very major role in this. But India has signed on to the U.S. project to some extent, and it raises a big question. What is India thinking? What are the Indian leaders thinking? They had the British Empire for a couple of centuries. It should have been enough. They should have good instincts to know, don't follow the U.S. empire in this kind of madness.
Yeah. Well, I think pragmatism, as you say, is what we need. In 2003, Condoleezza Rice, she made the comment that the multipolarity, she called it a theory, not the distribution of power, about competing interests and competing values. So she said, no one should want this at all, because this is, if you value freedom, you don't want to put a check on it. So this is kind of the logic, that is, we need to have dominance. Without dominance, there can't be freedom. And I think this is the Europeans as well. We buy fully into this. When I listen to our politicians, journalists, this is why they're willing to go to war with Russia. They're willing to go to war with China. They're willing to go to war with Iran and burn down the world, because otherwise there can't be freedom. There has to be dominance. This is kind of the virtue of dominance that is selling it as freedom. So
absolutely. And incidentally, I've been thinking about this from the especially the Anglo-American mindset, because Britain and the US have done the most to wreck things for a couple of centuries in this way. The mindset goes back to the philosophy of Thomas Hobbes, who said that in the state of nature, life is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. And Hobbes said that to get out of the war of all against all, you need a Leviathan, he called it. You need a superior power. And that was his theory of national government, that people would give up their sovereignty to kill each other, their freedom to kill each other, to a sovereign who would then keep order, and everyone would be better off because they wouldn't be killing each other. Then you turn that logic to the global order. And the way that that is turned into the global order by the CIA or by MI6 or by these intelligence agencies in the West is to say, well, we don't have a supreme ruling Leviathan, so it is a war of all against all. And we have to be brutally realistic. It's us or them. And sometimes you have to strike first, like Israel and the United States striking Iran. That's the mindset. But another part of the mindset is the United States says, we'll be the Leviathan, thank you. Britain was the Leviathan in the 19th century. The only way to be safe is if we are the Leviathan. In other words, there can only be one that runs the world and will be the one that runs the world. Now, there is another way in life, which is that you get along with each other. You make some common rules. You share the sandbox. We teach our 5-year-olds to do this. It's not impossible that you don't need one ruler of the world to have peace. And this is what the American hegemonists or supremacists cannot understand. But I think it's partly they're trapped at an emotional level, maybe before age 5. I don't know. They don't really see that there's another way, that in a multipolar world, we actually really could get along. We could make some rules of the road. We could have some cooperation. The one who understood that, as I said, in the United States was Franklin Roosevelt. Another one who understood that more recently was John F. Kennedy. And probably he died because he held that belief, and he was killed from the inside because he held that belief. So this is a tough struggle, and we're in an extraordinarily dangerous moment in the world. If this continues, if Mr. Trump continues to believe that he will pick Iran's next leader and that this is going for unconditional surrender, of course, things will then depend on military outcomes. But one real possibility is an economic crisis globally, instigated by Israel and the United States, the likes of which we've not seen for a long time.
I wish we could have finished on a more optimistic note, but thank you very much for taking the time. I know you have a busy day in Rome there, so try to enjoy it in these perilous times, and yeah, hope to see you soon.
See you soon. Thanks.